Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Everything Crypto Show, where we bring you the latest and most important news moving the crypto markets. Now, I am very excited to bring you all today's video. As you can see here, based on the crypto bubbles, a lot of altcoins right now are making some really nice moves to the upside, as we have seen the US House pass 3 different crypto bills that are looking incredibly bullish for the industry. Additionally, we can see here that since the bottom in about late April, Ether has outperformed Bitcoin by 70%, and it looks like a really juicy setup for an upcoming alt season. So we're going to break all of that down for you guys in today's video, start off with the news, and then get into the charts to wrap things up. But before we do that, just a friendly reminder that I am not a financial advisor. I am simply here for your crypto news and entertainment purposes. And if you do enjoy the regular crypto content, please consider hitting that sub and like button, drop a comment. It does go a long way in supporting the channel and helping to get these videos in the algorithm for other people to see. And thank you all for the support. I love and appreciate you all in this community. You guys are amazing, and congrats to you if you have not given up on crypto, if you have been here this whole time, because it looks like the US is finally trying to pass some serious legislation to adopt crypto, and that only means good things for your portfolio, in my opinion. So we're going to talk about the 3 bills that actually were passed first. And the first one here is the US Genius Act. So basically, this bill sets up a regulatory regime for so-called stablecoins, basically crypto that is backed by the dollar, USDT and USDC. And the provisions here are basically requiring stablecoins to be backed 1-for-1 with US dollars or other low risk assets. This could be things such as treasuries. And this is really important, okay, because stablecoins are used by traders to move funds between different crypto tokens. And the use of these coins, which are obviously much less volatile, has grown rapidly in recent years, okay? So this is really relevant because if we do see some sort of stablecoin legislation, if we do see some regulatory framework for different companies to adopt stablecoins for their payment methods, this means we could be seeing billions of dollars flowing on chain. Now, once we have these billions of dollars on chain, I really do believe that a lot of people who are not involved in crypto whatsoever will potentially get involved just based on the fact that they now have these coins on chain. It is much easier for them to access these different cryptocurrencies that they previously, couldn't do without downloading an exchange and buying something like that. So obviously, there are some critics arguing the bill will introduce new risks into the financial system, but I think what this bill is trying to do more than anything is create a regulatory framework for the safe development of stablecoins. And yeah, I just think that, if we see more stablecoins coming on chain, another obvious benefit for the blockchains that are going to get a lot of the stablecoin adoption, thinking about, some of the kind of like the key players like Ethereum, like Solana, is that there will be more usage of the blockchain, meaning more fees paid for in gas tokens, meaning more token burns as well. And yeah, that should translate into positive price action for these altcoins where these stable coins are transacting on. Now, the second thing that was actually passed here is the Clarity Act. So the Clarity Act seeks to define clear lines of jurisdiction between the SEC and the CFTC, mandate robust compliance standards for digital asset trading platforms, and provide legal certainty to develop and investors alike. So basically what they're looking to do is, first of all, clarify what digital assets are and differentiate these between digital commodities, and then as well as actually highlight and identify restricted digital assets. And I think this is a fair thing to do, right? I mean, I think that a lot of altcoins are built differently. I think that some of them really should be considered commodities, and some of these ones that are more centralized, they could in fact just be regarded here as restricted digital assets. So we're going to have to see more on exactly what this means, but effectively it is trying to establish a certification pathway allowing token issuers to seek regulatory clarity by obtaining a formal determination from either the SEC or the CFTC. So this basically means that we're probably not going to see some sort of blanket statement that, all altcoins are securities or all altcoins are commodities. And I do think this is fair. I don't think that it's really fair or correct to kind of label all altcoins under the same category of being a security or a commodity. And I think that getting regulatory clarity on certain digital assets, I think this will be bullish for the industry as a whole, and especially for the altcoins that are able to fall into this category with Bitcoin and Ethereum of being deemed commodities by the CFTC, meaning that they will not be overseen by the SEC. Now, the last thing we've seen here was the House passing an anti-CBDC surveillance state act, blocking the Federal Reserve from issuing or testing a central bank digital currency without explicit congressional approval, which I don't think they would get based on the current party. The move signals strong Republican resistance to what they view as a potential tool for state surveillance. So a CBDC is a digital form of a country's national currency issued and backed directly by its central bank. This is very different from something like USDC or USDT, which is backed by a company and basically made for the public to transact. Unlike a lot of these cryptocurrencies, CBDCs are centralized and controlled by the government, essentially designed to function like cash but in digital form, which will allow for the potential for programmability as well as surveillance and tighter monetary control. So the fact that we are seeing the Genius Act basically be passed at the same time that we are seeing this anti-CBDC bill passed, I think again means very good things for the altcoin market as a whole, as basically these different stable coins that do exist on these chains, USDC, USDT, FUSD, all these different stable coins. These companies can basically either opt to use an existing stablecoin, create their own stablecoin, and it will not all be centralized here by the government. And finally, the last thing I do want to talk about, this is a rumor and not something we have seen any official news on yet. However, it is being rumored that US President Donald Trump is reportedly set to sign an executive order that could allow American 401k retirement plans to invest in alternative assets outside of stocks and bonds such as crypto. So we can see here, if we take a look at Bitcoin's performance versus the NASDAQ, you can see that basically why a lot of people would want to be in crypto, why they would want this in their retirement plans. And I think that it's only logical as the crypto industry as a whole does continue to mature, that it does get treated like these more mature and regulated asset classes such as stocks and bonds. So this again would just open up so much money to just flowing into crypto. We do have a pretty crypto-friendly administration at the moment, probably the most crypto-friendly one that we have seen. And yeah, all of this, in my opinion, is setting up for a very juicy, just like for the rest of 2025. I think this setup looks amazing, especially at a time which is historically incredibly bullish for the markets as a whole. Now, one thing I do want to point your attention to here to wrap up the video is just taking a look at the charts, okay? I don't really have too much to say about Bitcoin at the moment. If we take a look at where Bitcoin is, it's pretty much an all-time high territory, right? And it broke out of this resistance level right here. The previous all-time high at about 112,000, currently sitting at just under 119,000. And I would not be shocked at all to just see Bitcoin once again pass that $120,000 milestone. And I am personally eyeing levels for Bitcoin at about the $140,000 level next. Now, that's not what I want to talk about in this video. What I want to talk about is the fact that Ether is actually up versus Bitcoin 70% since late April, okay? We can actually take a look at the Ether Bitcoin ratio. I want to go ahead and zoom out here on this chart. And yeah, you guys can see, I mean, it's been pretty ugly for ETH the past couple of years, ever since the merge effectively. First, we saw just the market top back in November of 2021, and then we saw the merge take place where Ether kind of, tried to make a second rally, but really this just ended up being just a lower high before making its way to the downside. And then from there, right, so since late 2022, we actually saw Ether underperform Bitcoin and go down on its Bitcoin pair by about 80%. Just a brutal wipeout for Ethereum versus Bitcoin. However, what is looking really good for Ether Bitcoin right now is the fact that it actually bottomed out exactly where it bottomed out back in 2019 before Ether went on to outperform Bitcoin by about 400%, okay? So Ether has done this before. It definitely could do it again. And I think it's a really bullish sign that it did actually bottom out here at this very strong area of support, which in the previous cycle did in fact lead to this outperformance from Ether and the altcoin market as a whole. Now, if we actually line up the Ether Bitcoin chart with the Ether USD chart, okay, something I really like about this Ether Bitcoin bottom is that it came a couple of weeks after Ether actually bottomed out on its USD pair. So if we take a look at the long-term price action for Ethereum, you can see that it bottomed out in late 2022 at about $800. And then here on multiple occasions, it was just bouncing off of this uptrend. Okay, I'm going to zoom in to show you guys. You can see it bounced off the uptrend here, bounced off it here, bounced off it here once again. And then when we saw the tariff fear happening earlier this year, Ether actually broke down below this uptrend for the first time in about 3 years. This is when Ether sentiment was pretty much at an all-time low. We saw Ether fall all the way down to 1,400, which is a very important level because that is its 2018 all-time high. So Ether came back down to levels not seen since 2018. But what did we see from there? We saw an incredibly strong bounce from Ethereum. And as of right now, it is up about 150% since that bottom in early April. Now, one thing I will point your attention to is that at the same time that Ether has reclaimed its uptrend, it is actually currently retesting this downtrending channel, which it has been respecting since its 2021 peak at about $4,800, okay? And I want to zoom in on the more recent price action to show you guys just how heavy this area of resistance has been. So, we first saw Ether peg this downtrend in March of 2024. Then we saw it again in May of 2024. And then going into late last year, we saw Ether try to reclaim this $4,100 level once again. It looked like it wanted to break out above this downtrend here, was unable to do so, and came right back below it. So the last thing I'm really looking for when it comes to Ethereum is for a breakout on the weekly chart above this downtrend. It is actually right at it at the moment here as we are recording this video. And I think that if Ether can close a weekly candle above this downtrending channel, this is when I think things get even more interesting for Ethereum and for the altcoin market as a whole. So on that note, I hope you all enjoyed the content in today's video. I hope you are all staying happy, safe, and healthy, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Peace out for now.